Between 1952 and 1969, the United States Air Force officially investigated over 12,000 sightings of unidentified flying objects. Of these cases, 701 remain unexplained to this day. But what really happened during these investigations? What was the government hiding? And why was the project shut down so abruptly? Join me as I uncover the secrets of Project Blue Book, the most extensive official investigation into UFOs ever conducted by a government. Prepare to discover disturbing truths, classified documents, and evidence that challenges everything you thought you knew about the extraterrestrial presence on our planet. For decades, skeptics dismissed Project Blue Book as nothing more than a public relations operation, a smokescreen to appease an increasingly paranoid population during the Cold War. After all, how could we trust a government investigation into UFOs when the government itself had every reason to hide the truth? But here is what few realize. Project Blue Book was neither the first nor the last official UFO investigation program. It was preceded by Project Sign and Project Grudge, both operating in absolute secrecy. And after its official closure, internal reports revealed that investigations continued behind the scenes, just under other names, other security classifications. The question is not whether we should believe Blue Book's official conclusions. The question is why a government would invest millions of dollars and thousands of hours of work by scientists and military officers into something that supposedly posed no threat to national security. Why hire the astronomer J. Allen Hynek, a self-proclaimed skeptic, only to see him transform into one of the greatest proponents of the reality of UFO phenomena? Project Blue Book was born in an era of paranoia and technological wonder. It was 1952, and American skies were filled with impossible reports. Commercial and military pilots, people with years of experience identifying aircraft, reported objects that defied the laws of physics. These objects made 90-degree turns at supersonic speeds, stopped instantly in mid-air, disappeared, and reappeared in a matter of seconds. The Washington, D.C. incident in July of that year was the catalyst. For 2 consecutive weekends, unidentified objects invaded the world's most protected airspace, appearing clearly on the radars of Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base. Jet fighters were scrambled for interception. They failed. The objects simply vanished as the jets approached, only to return as soon as the aircraft returned to base. The press went into a frenzy. The public demanded answers, and so Project Blue Book was born, officially aiming to determine if UFOs posed a threat to national security and to scientifically analyze the data related to sightings. But there was a third, undeclared objective, discovered only decades later through declassified documents: to reduce the number of unidentified sightings as much as possible, using any convenient explanation. The man leading the project, at least in its heyday, was Captain Edward J. Ruppelt, an Air Force intelligence officer who took the investigation too seriously for the liking of his superiors. Ruppelt created a standardized system for data collection, trained investigators, and established rigorous scientific protocols. He coined the term unidentified flying object to replace the sensationalist language of flying saucer. Under his leadership, Blue Book seemed genuinely interested in discovering the truth. But there were forces working against him. Internal documents revealed that the National Security Agency and the CIA maintained their own parallel investigation programs, with much higher classification levels. Blue Book had limited access to the most significant cases. Military witnesses were often instructed not to fully cooperate with investigators. And when particularly problematic cases arose, ones that irrefutably defied conventional explanations, they were transferred to other departments and never seen again. J. Allen Hynek, the project's scientific consultant, faced this frustration repeatedly. Initially skeptical, Hynek arrived at Blue Book determined to debunk UFO sightings as misunderstandings of natural phenomena. But the more he investigated, the more his position shifted. He witnessed cases with multiple credible witnesses, physical evidence, and radar confirmation. He saw photographs that could not be easily dismissed and encountered military pilots whose careers would be destroyed if they were deemed unstable or deceptive. Among the most intriguing cases investigated by Blue Book was the Levelland, Texas incident in November 1957. Over a few hours, 15 independent witnesses, including police officers, reported encounters with an egg-shaped object that caused electrical failures in their vehicles. Engines stopped, headlights went out, and when the object moved away, everything returned to normal operation. Blue Book's official explanation? Ball lightning from an electrical storm. The problem? There was no storm that night. Meteorological records proved it, but the explanation remained in the official files. There was also the Zamora case, considered by many to be one of the most compelling in the history of ufology. In April 1964, police officer Lonnie Zamora, a respected official in Socorro, New Mexico, chased an egg-shaped object that landed in the desert. He saw two small humanoid figures next to the object before it took off with a deafening roar, leaving behind scorched landing marks on the ground and burned brush. Hynek personally investigated this case. He interviewed Zamora, examined the physical evidence, and found no reason to doubt the officer's testimony. Still, the case was filed as unidentified, but Blue Book refused to publicly speculate on its origin. The message was clear. Even when they couldn't explain something, they certainly wouldn't suggest an extraterrestrial origin. Project Blue Book's most revealing moment came not during its operation, but after its closure. In 1969, after 17 years of investigations, the Air Force announced that the project would be discontinued. The justification? A scientific study conducted by the University of Colorado, led by physicist Edward Condon, concluded that the study of UFOs had no scientific value. But here is what they didn't tell the public at the time. Several scientists on the Condon team resigned in protest, claiming that the report's conclusion had been determined even before the study began. Leaked internal documents showed that Condon had declared his intention to discredit the UFO phenomenon from the outset. Even more disturbing, Hynek himself publicly denounced the conclusions of the Condon report as scientifically dishonest. And then came the most shocking revelation of all. Years later, through the Freedom of Information Act, classified documents revealed that the CIA had secretly monitored Project Blue Book throughout its existence, ensuring that certain cases never reached public knowledge. These documents showed that cases involving nuclear facilities, where UFOs were seen hovering over missile silos and temporarily disabling weapon systems, were systematically removed from Blue Book's files and transferred to special access programs. The conclusion was inescapable. Project Blue Book was never designed to discover the truth. It was designed to manage public perception, while real investigations happened at much deeper classification levels. Project Blue Book investigated over 12,000 cases, explained most of them, and left 701 permanently unanswered. But the numbers only tell part of the story. Blue Book's true legacy lies not in the explanations it offered, but in the questions it refused to ask, in the evidence that was hidden, in the cases that disappeared into more secret programs, and in the transformation of skeptics like Hynek into convinced believers that something extraordinary was happening in our skies. Now I want to hear from you. Do you believe Project Blue Book was a legitimate investigation or an elaborate cover-up operation? Which cases do you think deserve more attention? Leave your opinion in the comments below. And if you want to dive even deeper into the extraterrestrial mysteries that shaped our history, check out my next video on the Majestic 12 documents and the alleged recovery of alien technology. The truth is out there, and together we will find it.